Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, absolutely incredible developments in the last 12 hours. Look, when I say this is now all-out political legal war, it's all-out political legal war. There's no other way to say it. So, with now the proverbial noose closing in on Joe and Hunter Biden, with now Hunter Biden's own lawyer yesterday admitting that the bombshell WhatsApp text message that Hunter sent to a prominent Chinese businessman tied to the Chinese Communist Party, Henry Zhao, where he is caught extorting, shaking down this businessman for a massive $5 million donation, with Hunter saying, my father, Joe Biden, is right beside me, and you better give us the money if you know what's good for you. With now talk of impeaching Merrick Garland, with now growing talk of Joe Biden unable to finish his first term, with the White House now on the ropes, crime after crime, smoking gun after smoking gun. Suddenly, this is CNN, gets the audio recording of Trump in July 2021 at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where apparently he was talking to four people, two Trump staffers, a writer and a publisher. The writer and the publisher were working on his chief of staff, Mark Meadows' autobiography. And they talk about, and he's being recorded, and Trump knows he's being recorded, and they're talking about Mark Milley having gone now to Bob Woodward and lied and said that Trump wanted to invade and attack Iran while president, and that it was Milley and the Joint Chiefs of Staff who talked him down and saved the world from World War III. And so Trump is talking about this with the aides, with the writer, the publisher, and they're saying Meadows knows it's a lie. You know it's a lie. And Trump says, here, look, I got the document. Here it is. This is what Milley sent to me. 4 pages. A 4-page attack plan that he sent to me. That the Defense Department sent to me. They're lying. Milley is lying. He's lying to Woodward. Woodward is lying. The media is lying. I was the one who nixed the attack and the invasion of Iran. Except they're pushing the exact opposite. Well, now they have leaked that audio recording. Now, I'm going to play it and get all of your assessment, and I want you to tell me what you think. 617-266-6868 is the number. But right out of the gate, let me just tell you this right now. This should get the case dismissed immediately, because President Trump is under strict orders from the judge that he cannot publicly disclose or discuss any evidence in the documents case, and the alleged mishandling of classified documents case. So he, the defendant, has a gag order, cannot talk about it, cannot disclose evidence, he can't leak to the media. His hands are completely tied. But Jack Smith, that special counsel hack, that assassin, he can leak willy-nilly selective evidence to the media, thereby tainting the jury pool? Remember now, they're in the process of selecting the jury. It is a crime. It is literally a crime to leak evidence to the media, which then leads to the tainting or spoiling of the jury. So what Jack Smith's people did in leaking these tapes to CNN is a crime. So Trump can't talk about it, but they can leak to the media? Trump can't defend himself, but they can leak this garbage to the media, which is, by the way, illegal. Yet who's going to hold Jack Smith accountable? This on its face, I'm telling you right now, is prosecutorial misconduct. It is abuse of power. This should be stayed in the discovery phase. It should not be released to the media. This should come out at trial if Jack Smith has any kind of a case. Instead, here we go again. Leak, illegally, leak. And the truth, we'll find out later. But the public relations damage will be done. It's just like Russia and everything else all over again. Here is now the audio recording. He is talking now to the publisher, writer of Mark Meadows' autobiography. Meadows is not there. There are two other Trump staffers. Here is the first cut where Trump says, look, I just exposed Milley as a liar. I mean, this totally proves my case. They wanted the war with Iran. I was the one who opposed the war with Iran. Roll cut 23. Mike.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the beginning.
Like when Milley's talking about, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Milley, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. I said, isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
So CNN, the left, liberals are going berserk, saying he just showed classified documents to people. This is the argument, to people who didn't have a security clearance. That's their argument. Now, but what it shows is that Milley's a liar. Now, I'm going to get to Milley in a second. So listen now to Trump. This is the part that they believe is damning. This is the part that Jack Smith thinks he can nail Trump to a cross on. Roll cut 23A, Mike.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. Look at this. Your attack. And
Hillary would print that out all the time,
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner. The pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, here and I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
But yeah, saying bring some Cokes in. It's like a Diet Cokes, I guess. So anyway, this is now, I'm just going to lay out. This is, they're going nuts. They're going, oh my God, they're going crazy. CNN played it all night. Then Fox News played it all night. MSNBC played it all night. Everybody's clutching their pearls. Oh my God, Jack Smith's got him. This is it. It's over. Trump's going to jail. He's going to jail. This is it. We got him. So, number one, Jack Smith just committed a crime. Okay? Jack Smith, his team, by leaking this to the media, this is clear prosecutorial misconduct. They are trying to taint and spoil the jury pool by releasing evidence, or they're cherry picking the evidence in order to present Trump in the most negative light possible. That's number one. This case should be thrown out immediately. And whoever was leaking it, I'm telling you it was Jack Smith, it's clearly Smith and his people, they should go to jail. Those are crimes. Number one. Number two, Milley, the only one who broke a classification, the only one who illegally leaked classified information was Mark Milley when that loser, that woke loser, talked about an invasion of Iran. A, he lied to Woodward, but B, he had no clearance to discuss any war plans with Woodward. Yet notice, nothing will happen to Smith, nothing will happen to Woodward, nothing will happen to Mark Milley. Now, as for this alleged smoking gun, as I stated before, and I'll state it again, under Article 2 of the Constitution, under the Presidential Records Act, under a previous ruling by a judge in the Clinton sock drawer case, those are now his personal papers, and he has the right to do with them whatever he wishes. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, what is very clear to me is the timing of all of this is unbelievably suspicious. It's obvious what they're trying to do. They're trying to desperately distract and deflect from the growing scandal that has now ensnared Joe and Hunter Biden. There's no question. In the wake of the IRS, in fact, the two IRS whistleblowers who have now shown beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Bidens engaged in pay to play, in bribery, frankly, in extortion, blackmail, how they were selling influence and U.S. policy positions in exchange for tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. And so you have this explosive WhatsApp text message where you've got Hunter Biden, dead to rights, saying to a prominent Chinese businessman with deep ties to the Chinese Communist Party, Henry Zhao, saying, 5 million. We better have the 5 million. My father is right next to me. We don't get the 5 million. You're going to be in a world of hurt. And Shazam, baby, within 10 days, $5.1 million is deposited in Hunter Biden's bank account. So you have growing calls for Merrick Garland to be impeached. You have now growing calls for Joe Biden to be impeached. This story now is about to break wide open. And here's this leak. Here it comes. About Trump and a conversation he had in Bedminster about, apparently, look at him. Look at Trump showing classified documents. Jack Smith's got him. He's got him. Now, a couple of points, and then I want to throw it open to you, the great audience of Kuhner Country. 617-266-6868 is the number. Number one, as I'm sure Trump's lawyers are going to argue, number one, those are his records. Those are his records. He had every right to take them. He can talk about declassification and whether he declassified or didn't declassify. Those are his records. He had every right to take them. That's number one. Number two, those military war plans that the generals presented to him were pitiful, pathetic. It's all laid out in Mark Meadows' book, where it's gone, the scene is described at length in the book. And Trump is saying, they wanted me to invade Iran with 20,000 troops. These people are insane. I couldn't believe how incompetent and frankly stupid they were. So you've got these preposterous, ridiculous invasion plans. They're trying to lie about Trump, saying he wanted a war with Iran when it was literally the exact opposite. And let me tell you why the media is really enraged at him and why the deep state is really enraged at him. Because he stopped the war machine again. Now, what you see is just a hint, a little glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes in Washington, D.C., where it's war, war, war. So now the generals were secretly hoping and pushing for an invasion of Iran? Are these people mad? How does Milley still have a job? How is this guy still allowed to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Do you know what a war with Iran would entail? You think Iraq was a debacle. What do you think? That was 23 million people. What do you think invading a country of 70 million people and the heart and soul of Shia Islam and what that would inflame across the Middle East? And these guys go to Trump and say, 20,000, that'll do it. And Trump's looking at him like, you guys are idiots. You're reckless, insane idiots. And it's Milley who illegally revealed that plan to the media, yet nothing happens to him. It's Jack Smith who now illegally releases this evidence and this information to the media, but Trump can't say a thing? They're out to get him. They're out to frame him. They're out to smear him. They're out to destroy him. And notice the fundamental contradiction. That evidence is illegally being leaked right now. CNN played it, Fox played it, they all played it. Yet are there going to be any repercussions for Jack Smith? So they can break the law with impunity, taint the jury pool, deny Trump the possibility of a fair trial. This case should be thrown out immediately. If I'm Trump's lawyer, boom, right away, motion to dismiss on the spot. And we want an investigation into Jack Smith's legal team. Who the hell in Biden's Justice Department leaked this? Was it Jack Smith? Was it Merrick Garland? Who leaked this to the media? Because this could only have come from the corrupt Biden Department of Justice. Fox News is now pouncing on these tapes. And now they're saying these tapes show that Trump should be disqualified from running in 2024. This is all Rupert Murdoch. This is get Trump now, no matter what. That this shows he was reckless, he was irresponsible, allegedly with classified information. That's their argument. And now the rhinos are saying this should be the end of Trump politically, and he should go behind bars. So I want to ask you, what do you make of these tapes? What do you make of what's revealed in these tapes? And now, should Trump be permanently disqualified from running for the presidency? Did he break the law? And will he and should he go behind bars? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, listen now to Fox News. They're clearly now trying to use these recordings that have been leaked to CNN. Then Fox began to play them all night. So did everybody else, saying this shows proof of guilt. He's finished. Put a fork in Trump. He should not run for the presidency, and he should now go behind bars. Listen now to Ari Fleischer on Fox saying Trump should never have discussed those war plans. He needs to go. Roll cut 24, Mike.
Was that actually the real document, or was it a story that he was telling? And my understanding is that that particular document was never found by the special counsel or by, the raid at Mar-a-Lago, but I might be mistaken on that. I don't think I am.
Well, Sean, maybe that will be Donald Trump's defense. I don't know what his defense will be over this document. But as somebody who used to routinely handle classified information, I do have to say that is not how you are supposed to handle it. if it is a secret, top secret, whatever the classification is document, you may not show it to anybody who doesn't have such a clearance. It may not leave a SCIF. It can't be in a place like Mar-a-Lago, which was not a SCIF. So on this, I'm not sympathetic. I've always said that he shouldn't have been indicted over this. I think that was overreach and it went too far. But I also think that the president went too far in taking classified documents. He should have returned them all when the government said they wanted them back.
I mean, there you go. So that's their story, and they're sticking to it. Now, what I just find incredible is how many documents did George W. Bush, his boss, take with him? I don't see George W. Bush's ranch being raided. Obama has over 1,000 classified documents still in a storage room somewhere in Chicago. I don't see his mansion in Hawaii or his mansion in Martha's Vineyard or wherever being raided. I don't see that. Let's not even go into the 1,850 boxes that Joe Biden clearly illegally took. And some of them in his garage, some of them in Chinatown, some of them at the Penn Biden Center. I don't know. Suddenly no one's raiding his home. No, I think it's obvious. You listen to these recordings, let me tell you what you see. Trump stood up to the military-industrial complex. These guys wanted to get us in another insane war in Iran, in the Middle East. And they were lying to Woodward and the media that Trump was the warmonger, when in fact it was obvious the whole time Milley was lying. They wanted the war, and he said, no, here it is. I stopped them. No, look at these liars. So he exposed them again for their lies and their deception. And that's the real crime of Donald J. Trump. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Joanne in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Joanne, and welcome.
Good morning, Professor Kuhner.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi. School is out for summer, but you know what? My friends and I, we work in the healthcare industry, and we will be working all summer, including holidays. And most of us really love Donald J. Trump. And the word is spreading amongst the nurses again. So hopefully, this time, we can make some changes, some positive changes, because we're all God-fearing women and men.
Joanne, what do you make of these recordings that CNN released last night? I mean, you can tell the sharks are now circling Biden, Merrick Garland, Hunter Biden. You've got that explosive IRS whistleblower testimony, WhatsApp text messages, documents. It's all being exposed. And now out of the blue, suddenly someone within Biden's Justice Department leaks this to CNN, and now the media went wild with it yesterday.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Friday afternoon news that, you can't address until a Monday morning. Well, it's summertime. We really can't address this. People are on vacations and So, okay, throw it out there. I think it's unethical. I think it's illegal what they're doing. And I love Donald J. Trump. I would vote for him no matter what.
Joanne,
and so would many of my friends.
Oh, I think they're just making him stronger. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Thank you for that call, Joanne. In fact, here's a text message. You can text us, by the way, 70470, 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, I am so sick and tired of this crap. The entire world knows that this is a massive hit job and a witch hunt. Biden is the criminal, not Trump. All of this is making me more of a Trump supporter, and the world agrees with me. I agree with you. How do I say this now? It's so blatant. It's so obvious. Here's Biden going down under a mountain of evidence of talking real crimes. Pay to play, bribery, corruption, treason, selling U.S. policy to the highest bidder. all of it being exposed. And you're going to rehash that recording now? Huh? You got to leak that? And then there's Anderson Cooper with that silver-haired guy with his beady eyes. This is so damning. This is so damning. Oh, Jack Smith's got him. He's got him. Or, Ari Fleischer. Oh, I handled classified information, Sean. Oh, you don't do this, Sean. You don't do this. They're his documents. They're his personal records. Once you leave the White House, you can take whatever you want with you. Again, everybody, you need to know this. This is what Jack Smith is deliberately leaving out. That's why, remember, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, they used the pretext of the Presidential Records Act to do the raid. But in the indictment, the Presidential Records Act is not mentioned once. It's all suddenly then under the Espionage Act, 1917. They got to go that far back to try to get him. They don't mention the Presidential Records Act even once. Why? Because as Judge Amy Berman Jackson, in a big decisive ruling about 10 years ago regarding Bill Clinton was being taped by a reporter and for an interview, and he revealed attack plans, war plans, intimate conversations, top secret information, top secret conversations, all of this. And the judge ruled, well, he left the presidency. This was a post-presidency interview. And he said, whatever this guy revealed, whatever he talked about, those are his information. They are like his personal records. And she cited Article 2 of the Constitution, which is that the commander-in-chief effectively is the executive branch, and number 2, the Presidential Records Act. So I'm sorry, if Bill Clinton can talk about war and war plans and confidential, sensitive, classified information after he left the presidency, and talking about papers that he had and documents that he had, and it's 17 audio recordings. And the National Archives said, well, we like to get that back. And he said, nah, they're mine. I'm keeping them. And he literally kept them in his sock drawer. So, and the judge said, I'm sorry, but by the Constitution, by the Presidential Records Act, by precedent, the President of the United States can keep anything he or she deems is valuable for them, for their memoirs, their autobiography, their whatever. It's theirs to do with as they wish. So, if it's good enough for Bill Clinton, and it's good enough for Barack Obama, and it's good enough for George W. Bush, it should be good enough for Donald J. Trump. I'm sorry, am I wrong? 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask you, what do you make now of these secret recordings being leaked and released? Does this show that, again, the Democrats are playing dirty, that this was illegal? And will this only make Trump even stronger? Or do you agree with Ari Fleischer that Trump should not have discussed the Iran war plans and that he went too far? Your calls next. Okay, the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Do you think the release of these tapes, does it help or hurt Trump in the long run? What do you think? Does this hurt him, or does it just make him stronger and stronger and stronger because they're so obviously out to get him? You know where I stand. I think he's going to get another boost from this. I'm just giving you my honest opinion, but that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner. Kuhn, as in Nancy, ER. If you prefer, you can vote via Twitter. Our handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn, as in Nancy, ER. John in Middleborough. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Yeah, Jeff, I think today it's very important that not only Trump, but leading Republicans go public in front of the media, and Trump has the perfect opportunity today when he's in New Hampshire to illustrate the double standard of the Justice Department and point out the illegality of the fact they released these tapes, and double down on it and no apology and just go right forward. And this will get the American public asking questions about what tapes. There's tapes about Biden. This is where Trump has a good opportunity to blurt all the things out that the mainstream media has been hiding.
John, how is it that they can continue to get away with this? This is what I find incredible. Milley violates classified information, talks about a war with Iran that he was pushing, lies about it, says it was Trump who was pushing it when it was him. He had no right to discuss any of that to the media. He doesn't even get a slap on the wrist. Nothing. Now you have either it was Garland or Jack Smith. It was one of the two. So either it was the special counsel or the Department of Justice illegally leaking this so-called evidence to taint or spoil the jury pool in the upcoming trial, which is illegal. And yet nothing happens. And yet here they are crucifying Trump on some dinky espionage charge, which, by the way, they've proved no spying. They can't prove anything. That he gave it to anybody, that he sold it to anybody, that this got in the hands of Russia or Iran or China. So here they're clearly framing this guy for a documents case and trying to make it seem like it's the greatest crisis to befall our republic, while they're committing crime after crime after crime in their desperation to get him. John, this is how can they continue to keep getting away with this? That's what I find incredible.
We need to get public opinion on our side, and this is a great opportunity to showcase this by Trump pointing out the facts that you just laid out and say, this is what I'm talking about. There's leaking of information from the Justice Department, and this is why we have to uncover the swamp.
I'm with you, John. I think he's got to come after him now really hard. Really, really hard. No holds barred now. John, thank you very, very much for that call. Very good point. No, I think there's no question. He goes, look, I want my lawyers to get this case dismissed today. Today. And an investigation into who leaked it. And they should go to jail. Because literally, it's a crime. They're in the discovery phase now. This is where they start, evidence is being, the prosecution has to start showing the defense the evidence that they have. You cannot leak that. That is illegal. It's illegal. Never mind to the media. Never mind to taint or spoil the jury pool, which is going to hurt Trump to get a fair trial. See, that's the thing. They want to convict him in the court of public opinion without us knowing the full context, the full truth, what exactly was said, what was the context of everything, what documents was he holding. By the way, they're never able to find that alleged document that Trump was supposed to be waving. They couldn't find it in the raid in Mar-a-Lago. They haven't found it to this day. And they're not claiming that he destroyed it. So, that's the other. So there's so much there that is so murky. And we know how they lied. By the way, people are saying the audio of him shuffling the papers. Remember we found out during January 6th how they kept adding audio to the when they breached the Capitol, and they added sound to it to make it seem much worse than it was, more menacing. So people are saying, nah. We want to hear the original recording. Are they amplifying the shuffling of papers to try to make it seem like, oh, hey, he's just sitting on a pile of those documents. Oh, my God, he's showing everything to everybody. This smells like a rat. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me tell you another reason why the media went wild with this story last night. This is unfair. freaking believable. Remember, at the heart of the IRS whistleblower allegations is that Biden was for sale. The only thing Hunter Biden had to sell was Joe Biden. He's got nothing else to sell. By his own admission, he was a drug addict, a crackhead, who was stoned all the time banging Russian hookers. So what value does he bring to a board? Or as a consultant, why would you be giving this loser hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars? What is he selling? What product? What value does he have to give? He's only got one thing to give. The old man, his father. And what does his old man have to give? U.S. policy, influence. That's all. That's what the Biden family business was all about. And so as the IRS whistleblowers are now exposing, Biden sold state secrets. What Biden did, he sold U.S. policy positions and he sold state secrets. He sold them to China. He sold them to Ukraine. He sold them to Romania. Any position where he was the point person, he sold. Well, at a meeting last week, this audio now has just been unearthed. At a meeting last week where he met with the Indian Prime Minister, Modi, along with CEOs of the big tech, the tech giants. This is what Biden said. You gotta hear it to believe it. This is what they're covering up. Roll cut 22, Mike.
I was just thanking, anyway, I started off without you. And I sold a lot of state secrets and a lot of very important things that we shared. Now, all kidding aside, look, we're teaming up to design and develop new technology that are going to transform the lives of our people around the world. And together, we're lifting the private and public partners to make this possible, including launching a new program between India and America, American astronauts, Indian astronauts,
okay,
entrepreneurs, scientists.
Okay, we got it. Thanks, Mike. I mean, I sold a lot of state secrets? And he's giggling? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Now, okay, number one, I mean, look, you've got two choices, okay? It's door one or it's door two. Either, number one, the guy, as always, blurts everything out. He always blurts stuff out and it's like, shut up. You know, he's going on about how he talks to Obama all the time and that he has no power in his presidency. Like, could you shut up, please? Do you have to tell everybody you're a puppet? Shut up. Here it is. I sold a lot of state secrets. Okay, all kidding aside. So, either the idiot blurted the quiet part out loud, almost like a confession, because he's got no filters left because the dementia is clearly setting in. And by the way, did you notice? He couldn't remember names. He couldn't remember who he spoke to. He was just mumbling and bumbling, and the first part was just completely incoherent. Okay, but let that go. Or it's a joke. Okay? He's just kidding around. Now, with everything now barreling down on him and his degenerate son and his degenerate family, with everything we're finding out now about Burisma, about Henry Zhao, about the WhatsApp message, the text message, how all of the 20 shell companies, the shell bank accounts, the secret wire transfers. Now we're even finding out that big Ukrainian oligarch that owns Burisma, Zlochevsky, opened up a bank account for Hunter Biden in Malta. in Malta so they could secretly wire him millions of dollars. So with all of this swirling around him, you think this is funny? Like this is something for you to laugh at? He's gone. He's gone. I'm telling you. So either he's mentally completely shot, or the guy just confessed. This was a confession. A confession from a senile fool. I mean, it's either door one or it's door two. That's now the media. They don't want that clip going around. They don't like who jokes about this. So this is why they have to release the recording of Trump. Change the subject. Deflect and distract. Make Trump the enemy. Make Trump the problem. Get this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden corruption story off the radar and off of the news cycle because it's bringing them down. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Did we just hear Joey essentially confess to all of his crimes? Dan in Dedham. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I want to go back to a discussion you were having earlier about the former president trying his best to keep the country from going to war with Iran. And I just wanted to say that's ludicrous. You remember it was Trump who bragged about the assassination of General Soleimani by a drone strike in Iraq, a foreign country. That's hardly the best way to keep from starting a war, to take executive action, which he approved of and bragged about, to assassinate a foreign leader in a foreign country. And the other thing I want to say before you correct the record, as you might say, is that I think your listeners are getting a disservice by listening to somebody who promotes the criminality of the president he prefers by pointing out the criminality of previous presidents. And I don't argue that previous presidents should not have been prosecuted. I think Obama should have been prosecuted for assassinating Americans overseas by drone strike. And I think that Trump should be prosecuted for his crimes. He's a criminal. And I don't think arguing that his criminality is more noble than previous criminality is very respectful for the people who are listening to you. Thanks very much.
Okay, Dan, let me take the first one first. What we're talking about are two separate things. He didn't kill a foreign leader on foreign soil. He killed the head of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is a terrorist with the blood of countless Americans on his hands, and never mind terrorist bombings, including the killing of Jews, a synagogue in Argentina. Now, he didn't attack Iran. What Milley presented to Trump was an invasion of the entire country. What he did was he took out one of the leading terrorist masterminds in the world. That's what he did. So he was completely justified. Frankly, would have been criminal had he not taken out Soleimani. And it didn't lead to a wider war. In fact, I remember very clearly at the time when the strike was launched, the liberals, the Washington Post, the New York Times, social media, you can look it up. They called it, quote, Trump's World War III. That this strike on Soleimani was going to lead to this massive clash with Iran, and it was going to lead to a larger Middle East war, and that Trump was going to get us all killed. And it turned out to be poppycock. So he took out a leading terrorist mastermind, God bless him, and the Iranians privately admitted that by taking out Soleimani, it did immense damage to their entire terrorist infrastructure. In fact, they said it was the equivalent of taking out a major city by taking out one man. So to me, Trump had every right to take him out. To me, it would have been criminal had he not taken him out. Now, on your second point, this to me, I've never saying his crime, his criminality is more noble. I never said that. What I'm arguing to you is on three grounds. Article 2 of the Constitution, the Presidential Records Act, and then precedent established by Judge Amy Jackson Berman in the Clinton sock drawer case. And if you go 1, 2, 3, he has every single right to take the documents with him. What you're arguing for, whether you know it or not, is you're making the ultimate argument for the deep state. You're saying that intelligence agencies have the right to usurp the power of the president, who is the elected representative of the American people, that they ultimately, these faceless bureaucrats, these spies and assassins, should determine what's classified and what's not, and that they can even then hamstring and handcuff a president. I'm sorry, that's not what Article 2 says. Article 2 says that the President of the United States, as the people's representative, is the executive branch when it comes to the functioning and administration of the executive branch. So when you classify a document, you are doing it for the benefit of the president, because he's the only one who has access and should have access to everything. So you classify it to prevent other people from seeing information, not the president. What the deep state now is trying to argue is we get to decide what the president can keep and not keep, what he can say and not say, what he can do and not do. And I'm sorry, that's illegal, that's unconstitutional, and it's already been ruled by multiple judges to be unlawful. So there's no noble criminality here. You say Trump's a criminal. What crimes did he commit?
He is a criminal.
Okay, but give me, you can say it, but saying it doesn't make it so. So what crimes did he commit? Hello? Hello? Okay, thanks for the call, Dan. That's Trump derangement syndrome. There it is. You know, it's like you lay it out for them. But this is, the Constitution, the law, a court ruling, which now establishes precedent. And you say, okay, well, but he's a criminal. Okay, but what crimes did he commit? Like, give me specific crimes. And that's why this whole documents case is a joke. Now, remember, weren't they going to prove collusion with Russia? Well, where's the proof? Okay, you can't show that. Okay, violation of the Espionage Act. Okay, so aren't you going to show to me classified documents that he gave or sold to foreign powers? Because I can prove it with Joe Biden. We got the receipts. Hell, now we've got the text freaking messages. We've got them dead to rights. But no, they can't. He's a criminal. He's a criminal. He's a criminal. Okay, but what crimes did he commit? He's a criminal. He's a criminal. And again, I don't want to get into legal technicalities, but this is very important. The unprecedented raid on Mar-a-Lago. They said, the Presidential Records Act. He didn't hand over stuff to the National Archives. NARA, as it's called. National Archives and Records Administration. But nowhere, here, I challenge you. Look at the entire indictment laid out by Jack Smith. The Presidential Records Act is not mentioned once. So what they did was raid on the Presidential Records Act and then in midstream legally switch horses. Okay, so we raid, okay? We take everything, including his passport. We just take everything. And then we can't charge him. Oh, son of a gun, what do? We can't charge him. Okay, espionage. What? So, okay, what secret documents did he sell to? Show me. North Korea got him? Prove it. Russia? Prove it. Iran? Prove it. China? Prove it. Now, on Biden, I got him. Everybody knows. We've got secret tapes proving that they bribed him. Biden admitting he was bribed. You've got FBI confidential informants. Now you've got text messages. You've got wire transfers, you've got bank accounts, we've got checks, we've got receipts, we got the whole freaking thing. And that's why they have to distract and deflect. It's the ultimate red herring. Brand Trump. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are loaded. Tommy in Brockton. Thanks for holding, Tommy, and welcome.
Jeff, thank you for taking my call. You can hear me clearly, correct?
You're coming in loud and clear. Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay, so for the previous NPR caller who just called in, trying to make the case Donald Trump committed crimes by killing an Iranian leader, wrong. That was an Iranian general, as you correctly pointed out, Baghdadi, who was responsible for the murder of hundreds of American soldiers, as well as maiming thousands of American soldiers. So for him to come onto your station and make that kind of charge, if I were in his presence, I would cold cock him for that statement. Now, here's the other point. Barack Obama, to his credit, sent out a team of Navy SEALs that shot that SOB. Okay, the same man that was responsible for the murder of almost 3,000 Americans on 9/11, not to mention the thousands that were maimed. No, you don't get to run your mouth like that on talk radio when you have your facts misconstrued because you are a partisan ass kisser. No, that doesn't work with me. And as far as Obama killing an American citizen, yes, he did. His name was Anwar al-Awlaki. He was also involved with Al-Qaeda and murdering innocent people throughout Europe, Israel, and all over the world in the name of radical Islam or Islamic terrorism. You need to get your facts straight, you goddamn NPR ass-kissing fool.
Tommy, very well said. Drop the mic, my friend. 617-266-6868 is the number. I mean, it's incredible. Again, it's Trump derangement syndrome. Now it's on steroids. So now the killing of Soleimani, Iran's top general, the leader of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, one of the worst terrorists in the last 50 years. And you're right. How many American soldiers dead? How many Americans maimed? How many Jews and others that other Muslims, other innocent civilians, men, women, and children, including that synagogue in Argentina? Boom. He blew it up and what was it? 200 Jews dead? And so this was you want to talk about a monster. You want to talk about a war criminal. That's what Soleimani was. And Trump had a clean shot to take him out, and he took him out. What are you, nuts? Of course you take him out. But no, now that's a crime. It's unbelievable. 617-266-6868 is the number. They hate him, and they hate him, and they just hate him. But I'm telling you, hatred makes you blind. And they're just blinded by their hate. And again, to me, the coup de grace, as the French would say, the final blow was, after you lay out Article 2, you lay out the Presidential Records Act, you lay out that big ruling by Judge Amy Jackson Berman on the Obama classified documents, the secret tapes. And I said, well, look at it from the Constitution, from Congress, from the law, from the judge. And then, so what crime did he commit? Well, he's a criminal. Okay, but what crime did he commit? Hello? Crickets? Hello? And he just stood there for 10 seconds. And then finally, okay, let's just drop the guy. So, no, they can't point to an actual, real, specific crime. They have to keep making up and manufacturing crimes. 617-266-6868. Look, let's be honest. Before Trump ran for president of the United States, he never got a parking ticket. A parking ticket. So for nearly 70 years of his life, The guy, squeaky clean as squeaky clean can be. All of a sudden, he threatens to drain the swamp. It's an indictment a day. John in Watertown. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Oh, boy. After that last guy, I'd like to debate with him for quite a while. He's a freaking idiot. But anyway, the one point I want to bring out, I'm not a Trump hater. I voted for him twice. But I started researching it, and this has to be verified, that he took over someone's apartment house with eminent domain to put his own. Now, if it's so important that the Founding Fathers put it in the Constitution, you cannot take over anybody's property except for a public project, okay? And you have to be compensated fairly. That's the Constitution. Now, supposedly he broke that, if that's true. Okay, now, what else did he do? Okay, I can't understand when these people went after him with the Russian collusion nonsense, and then he leaves the White House. I wouldn't even take a handkerchief. I wouldn't take one piece of paper. That means the guy isn't really too bright. And you know what Putin said about him? For a world leader, he says he doesn't seem to know much. I've never heard him say anything about past provinces and things, but forget him for a minute. Yes, I believe all those people that you guys just mentioned are pretty bad guys, and whether they want to be taken out or not is one thing, but how many people have we taken out in Vietnam? Okay, rice farmers. They had no air force, nothing. We killed 50,000, 8,000 of our own men, and how many millions of Vietnamese do we kill? And then our country is so evil, we put down Agent Orange, and my friend around the corner just died from Agent Orange. This is they do evil things, but we do evil things in the many...
John, can you do me a favor? I want you to please hang on, because I'm up against a hard break. 7:33 on the great WRKO. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. You asked the guy to stay on. The guy dropped off. So, just very quick. Look, if it's true about eminent domain, if it's true, well, that's the point, if it's true. So do you have evidence that he used eminent domain? Again, so if it's true, then what the hell does Vietnam? I mean, don't get me wrong. To me, obviously, the Vietnam War was a huge mistake. There's no question about it. But what does the Vietnam War have to do with taking out Soleimani? So, because of Vietnam, we're not supposed to take out Soleimani? I mean, I look at this. So, a terrorist mastermind responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American soldiers, thousands maimed and crippled, never mind innocent civilians all over the world. One of the most notorious terrorists and war criminals of the last 50 years. And we're supposed to say, well, we bombed rice paddies in Vietnam, so hey, do nothing about it. So what? Al-Qaeda? Osama bin Laden? By that logic, Obama shouldn't have taken him out or given the order for Navy SEAL Team 6 to take him out? Well, hey, the rice paddies in Vietnam. Like, I mean, and again, what does this have to do with Trump? Like, in other words, so what? Was it a crime to take out Soleimani? Is that what you're trying to argue? Because if that was a crime, then every president is a criminal. Every president, including, by the way, Thomas Jefferson, who ordered our Navy to hit the Barbary pirates, the modern-day terrorists at the time, and this was off the in the Mediterranean in North Africa. So all I'm just saying is, by that standard, then even the author of the Declaration of Independence is then a criminal. Like, how crazy do you want to go in your desperation to get Trump? Now, look, I've said it before. You don't like Trump, that's okay. It's a free country. You got DeSantis you can vote for. You've got Nikki Haley. You've got Tim Scott. You've got Vivek Ramaswamy. You've got the Judas Mike Pence. You've got Manja, Krispy Kreme, Chris Christie. Believe me, you got tons of options. You don't like that? There's RFK Jr. To me, a very plausible alternative, frankly, to Joe Biden. So there's plenty of people for you to vote for, but that doesn't mean you put a man in jail. We don't just jail our political opponents because we don't like them. That's the stuff of third world banana republics. And that's why they leaked that audio on CNN yesterday, to try to bolster the case that Trump deserves to be behind bars. Well, I'm sorry, he doesn't. Let me play the audio again very quickly, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. So, this was leaked to CNN. It could only have come from either Jack Smith's people, which is illegal. That's a crime. You know, the only one committing crimes are his enemies. So, this is to taint or spoil the jury pool. So this was leaked, and this is the discovery phase. You cannot leak anything to the public at all. Never mind to the media. So it either came from Jack Smith or it came from Merrick Garland, Biden's corrupt Department of Justice. It could not have come from anyone else. So this was illegally leaked to CNN last night, and Fox and others picked up on it, and they haven't stopped bashing Trump since. This is what's dominating the news cycle conveniently to drive out all of the new stunning bombshell revelations about Joey and his degenerate son Hunter. Here is the first cut. This is Trump. He's with two of his aides, a publisher and the writer, I guess the ghostwriter of Mark Meadows. This is Trump's chief of staff, his autobiography. And they're talking about Milley leaking violating classified information, claiming that there was an attack, an invasion of Iran planned. But Milley lied, saying that this was Trump's idea, that Milley blocked him, when in fact it was the exact opposite. Milley and the generals wanted to invade Iran. And it was Trump who said, "Are you people insane?" Listen now, and Trump's saying, "Look, I'll show you. I mean, you want evidence? Here's the evidence." Roll cut 23, Mike.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the beginning.
Like when Milley's talking about, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Milley, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
And to me, the story here, to be honest, the story to me here is the exact opposite of what CNN and Fox and everyone else is spinning. To me, the story here is, number one, Milley had no business talking about this. He didn't have any clearance. So why is he not being charged? But let that go. You guys were secretly planning to invade Iran? Iran? 70 million? Potentially, they may even have the nuclear bomb. We don't know. They're definitely close if they don't have it. So you wanted to unleash a massive Middle East war? And this was all being done covertly in clandestine fashion? Are you, to me, so this is how out of control the deep state and the military industrial complex is? These insane warmongers? And Trump was the only guy who stood in the way? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Here's the second one. Roll cut 23A. Mike.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time.
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to figure out
Since president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, here I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
Bring some Cokes in. But anyway, I'm sorry, that line always cracks me up. But no, so he's saying you can get that in your book. Now, Mark Meadows does. It's in his book. That whole scene is recounted in the book. He talks about the war plans. He talks about Milley wanting the war, how Milley lied to Bob Woodward and said it was Trump that was pushing for a war when it turned out it was the exact opposite. It was the generals and the war hawks. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, they're trying to make this seem into the crime of the century. And I'm like, A, he had every right to those documents, and B, look what they're talking about. A massive war in the Middle East that would make Iraq look like a Sunday picnic? They should be giving Trump a medal. And Milley should be hauled up in front of Congress, put under oath, and said, you lunatic, you wanted us to go into another war in the Middle East after the disaster in Iraq and Afghanistan? 617-266-6868 is the number. John in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Jeff, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
You have another soundbite for your radio show with Dan, the guy who started ranting about him, but give me what crimes he's committed. And you had silence again, so I think you get a nice soundbite there. But I digress. I find it interesting that after more Biden corruption comes to light, CNN receives their information on the Trump documents and pounds it out to us. And then today you get not one, but you get two people calling you to tell us how evil Donald Trump is. And I think you see how these people coalesce around something, and they will die on that hill. And it makes me wonder, will enough people see through this hubris and vote for Donald Trump? Because I've called before and said I think he's a liability because of the corrupt media and what they keep doing. And once he gets through this, because I think he will be found not guilty, they're going to have Atlanta. They're going to have the other New York. I mean, this is going to go right up. Even if he got elected, they're going to try to convict him on something else. So it makes me wonder how this is going to play out. And you said one thing I found very interesting, that Kennedy would be a plausible alternative. And I have to say I couldn't agree more, but I don't want to see a Democrat in there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, I don't agree with Robert F. Kennedy, like Tulsi Gabbard in many ways, on a lot of issues. Just to give you one quick example, he's now recently called for a federal law legalizing marijuana in all 50 states. I profoundly disagree. I think marijuana is a state issue, just like abortion is a state issue. I oppose Mike Pence on a national ban. He wants a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks. No, it's a state issue. The Congress shouldn't get involved. The Supreme Court definitely shouldn't get involved. So there are many things with, Robert F. Kennedy that I disagree with him on. What I do like about Kennedy, and this is what shows to me how corrupt the Democratic Party has become, he believes in the Constitution. He believes in the Bill of Rights. He actually believes in real freedom. He doesn't want to jail his political opponents or censor people on social media. So, and I think he's got a lot of courage. Look, he delivered a speech yesterday on the deep state and the military-industrial complex. Absolutely brilliant, saying we got to bring them to heel. And part of the example, I think, that is Milley, and how these war hawks, these warmongers, are thirsting for another major war in the Middle East. How many more Americans they want to get killed this time? So when you look at war, when you look at civil liberties, when you look at big pharma, there are many, many issues. The deep state, obviously, that I say amen when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speaks. So I'm just, look, he's not my guy. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm a Trump guy. And if Trump is not going to be the nominee, then I probably vote for DeSantis. But what I'm just saying is, if you don't like Trump, in a democracy, you vote for an alternative candidate. You don't lock him up. You don't lock the guy up because you don't like him or because you hate him. Or, look, if on Joe Biden, we've got him on real, massive, major crimes. We've got him on bribery. We've got him on pay to play, on corruption, influence peddling, treason. I mean, we've got him dead to rights on the most serious crimes a leader can commit. We're not going after him on some dinky hush money payment or a bookkeeping or a documents case or this phone call or that phone call. So it's obvious they're stretching, they're reaching, they're manufacturing. And, you know, I want to go back to something you said earlier, John. You said, you know, I hope the American people can see through this because it's so convenient that now all of these revelations are coming out about Joe Biden and suddenly CNN gets this leak. Well, you know, it's ask people who've lived in communist countries. They would always shake their head when something came out that was devastating to the regime. Shazam. Next morning, some dissident, something about a dissident, they had to lock him up or charge him with something else. And that became the story. Not the crimes of the regime, but the manufactured smears of a dissident. And everybody would just shake their heads. They just shake their heads like, these guys are unbelievable. Like, they don't see how transparent they are. Like, how stupid do they think we are? Well, that's where we are now. I mean, as you pointed out, it's so obvious, John. You've got Biden collapsing. The walls are closing in. And suddenly now they leak this ridiculous tape to CNN. Change the topic, change the conversation. Hope Americans are too stupid to notice.
30 things you're going to see are going to be liberal before you can find something that is a little more solid. But I also noticed that you can't even find RFK on the side of a milk carton. The media has made him disappear.
Not only that, but this is the more disgusting thing. I don't know if you heard this, but now the Democrats, the establishment with the media, are now telling him you either stop your campaign or we're going to unload. And what they mean by unload, if you can believe this, they're going to go on about his women. They're going to go on about, oh, his infidelities, and we're going to make, sex an issue with him, and we're going to go on about all the women he slept with and the affairs. And in other words, they want to air all of his sexual or private dirty laundry. Yet when it comes to Joe Biden, I don't care whatever RFK Jr. did. He never digitally raped Tara Reid. That Biden did that. He never inappropriately showered with his 11-year-old daughter, as she writes in her own diary. So Biden did that. It was Biden who had an affair with a minor. That was Jill Biden. She was the babysitter. She was underage. He had an affair with her on his wife. That's Joe Biden. So notice or all the way he goes after young girls and the groping and the inappropriate touching. Notice when it comes to Joe Biden, no one talks about his deviant, perverted sex life. No. No one talks about that. But now when it comes to Robert F. Kennedy, because he's about to crack 30% in New Hampshire, and if he goes to 35 or 40, it may force Biden out of the race. Now, John, Jake Tapper came out and said it. We've got Oppo research given to us by the Democrats. We are going to bury this guy in accusations and allegations of infidelity, promiscuity, affairs. In other words, destroy him. So They won't debate him. Biden is too scared to debate him. They won't discuss the issues. But suddenly now they're going to turn him into the second coming of Bill Clinton, who they defended, by the way. Sex didn't matter then. Now, for RFK Jr., sex does matter.
Jeff, I got one more thing I wanted to mention. Will the Democrats buy this? Because with Clinton, his dalliances meant nothing.
Oh, I agree. No, I don't think it. Look, if there were any way consistent, you know, I mean, I'll never forget the Clinton years. It's just sex. People can pivot from the private to the public. So they kept saying that argument over and over. It's just sex. That's between him and his wife. That's no one else's business. How many women, how many affairs, who he does it with, how he does it with them. So, what now? We're going to just keep changing the standard depending on who we like and who we don't like? So I don't think it's going to work. In fact, I'm telling you, John, in a way, I don't want to do this because I really don't want to see RFK's family life humiliated or exposed because I do care about his family. I don't want them to be put through the ringer. But politically, part of me wants him to do it because I think it'll make him stronger. Personally, I don't want the poor guy to endure this. But politically, people are going to say, nah, this is disgusting. They obviously fear him for a reason. I'm going to support him. So I think if they do go personal and if they do go sexual and they do try to really destroy him on his private life, I think you may see him. He may hit 40% in New Hampshire. This may boomerang against him. I mean, we'll see, but I mean, it is the Democrats after all. So you can't predict how they're going to behave. Hello, John? Did we lose John?
I hear you.
Okay.
No, yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, John, I mean, do you agree with me? I mean, I
agree.
I think it's going to blow up in their face. I think people are going to see through it and say, this is pathetic, desperate, and hypocritical.
Whatever they can pull out of the pocket to try to take down their detractors and the people who are looking good to the public, you will see that. But I want you to have a great 4th of July, Jeff. I love your show, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff, and God bless you, and Mike and Sandy. I know you had Ken Cucurelli last week, and you wanted to get a Trump spokesman, but I'm unofficial spokesman of what's happening on the ground, just like I was a Fidel. And you know how hard I worked for that one, right? So,
Dan, what are you seeing on the ground in New Hampshire, my friend?
Okay, if you give me a moment, I'm going to unpack everything, okay? And believe me, starting with this is what's going on. You got the Bushes, the Bidens, the Cheneys, the Clintons, Obama, and his henchmen, Pelosi, McConnell, Kerry, Romney, Leon Podesta, Paul Ryans, the Ari Fleischers, the Ed Rollins, the Kyle Roves, Rhonda McDaniels. It's all uniparty Marxist Communist Democrats and uniparty Marxist establishment Republicans working together to character assassinate President Trump with false narratives and lies. Now, if you go and look, General Flynn did an interview on this, okay, on the MLK show. Please, I'm always going to inform the voters, okay, on good material, factual content. Go check it out. Republicans who are in the primary, your Mike Pence, your Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, Chris Christie, are there only, as General Flynn said, as kamikazes to character assassinate President Trump with false lies, narratives, and lies. And anyone who says, like Vivek and Uniparty Ron DeSantis, that they would pardon President Trump instead of calling out the weaponized Department of Justice system is political grandstanding. This is not the first time with DeSantis. This guy, if you know, I worked with candidates and I've had a lot of discussions with them. And you can check me, Jeff. Me and Deal had the conversation over a year ago when you were in a party. Ron DeSantis, when they signed that bill to outlaw CRT, sex, and transgender up to the third grade, I had the discussion with Deal before you had him on your show. Remember, I asked the question about that. And I told Deal, I said, that what he did over there is political grandstanding, and that should have been thrown out. He should have taken care of that situation right there and said it had no business in the school, period. He just did it recently now, right before he announced he was going to be running for president.
Oh, Dan, no, I hear you. But look, to be fair to DeSantis, and you know I'm a Trump guy, but at least he did it. In other words, he would maybe have been late, maybe it was for political reasons, maybe because he knew it was popular, maybe because he wants to run for president, but at least he did it. When I look at someone like Chris Christie, and you mentioned him, and you're right, he is a kamikaze. He's a paid assassin for the rhino globalist establishment. There's no question. You look at a guy like Chris Christie, he goes on ABC News, he goes on CNN, he goes wherever they'll put him on, and he says, no, if parents want to mutilate their children, go ahead. 12, 13, 14 years old, if they want to have a sex change operation and mommy and daddy say, okay, just chop off those genitals. Chop off those breasts. Take those puberty blockers, chemical castration, whatever it may be, even though it's irreversible, even though it's unalterable, even though now we're seeing so many young people saying, I wish I had never done it, the biggest disaster and mistake of my entire life. I mean, we have laws on the books protecting children for a reason. But no. That's how Krispy Kreme rolls. And all he's doing is bad-mouthing Trump. Here, every day, Sandy puts him on my cut sheet. I can play you 10 cuts. Hey, I got one right now. I'm not going to play it. But all he does, and they put him on Fox now, and all he does is bash Trump. That's all this guy does. So his job is to destroy and demolish Trump. That's it. And then the media will reward him with a nice $1 million contract for him to go on ABC or CNN for 5 minutes once a week to shoot his mouth off, to go against MAGA or against Trump or against conservatives. And there's a name for that. They're a phrase, Vichy Republican. They're collaborators. They collaborate with the opposing regime, the conquering enemy, the regime, in order to stab their own in the back. That's what this guy is good for. And that's what all these rhinos are good for. And so we have to understand that when they go after Trump, what they're showing is their contempt for you, Dan, for me, and for 75 million voters. So to make it crystal clear to them, Krispy Kreme wants a war with Iran. So does Nikki Haley. So does Asa Hutchinson. So does Mike Pence. The neocons, the neoconservatives, the warmongers want us in war after war after war. They want unlimited open borders. They want horrible free trade deals that will sell this country down the river because they're not beholden to us. They don't give a damn about you, me, or the great middle working class of this country. They care about their donors, the elites, and their corporate paymasters. That's all they care about. So they make their millions while they destroy the greatest country in the history of the world. Now, there's a word for that. They're traitors. They're traitors. And that's why they have to destroy Trump with everything that they possibly have. Because he's the only one, for all of his flaws, and I don't defend everything he does or says. He's human. He's flawed. But when Milley came to him with a plan to invade, bomb, and attack Iran, he asked one obvious question. How does this benefit us? Like, I'm sorry, how does this benefit the American people? How am I going to look in the eyes of grieving mothers and fathers when their son or daughter comes back in a casket and I have to justify to them why your son or your daughter, your girl or your boy is now dead? That's my ultimate responsibility. And he said, get the hell out of here. Get out of here with this plan. So he wouldn't do what they want him to do. And that's why they have been hell-bent on destroying this man. And to me, I look at his enemies. I look at what they're trying to do to him. I look at his 4 years in power and how successful he was. And I'm like, I can't back anyone but him. He's had our back every step of the way. It's time we have his. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Paula in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Paula, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call this morning.
pleasure.
You know, I'm just going to say, you know, you and I stood on that stage in 2016, the night of a snowstorm, and we stood there and we supported Trump. And, you know, I look at all these people who are turning their backs on them. Friends of mine saying to me, I can't support him anymore, DeSantis. DeSantis enriched himself when there was a law in Florida that said that he could not run for president. No governor could. He signed a bill to allow himself to run for president. That's enrichment. That's enrichment. We attack our president, and I will always talk about Trump as our president. Instead of talking about bad things, no one can talk about the good things that he did. He gave people opportunities in this country that no other president ever did. And the president of the teachers union and myself last night had a little bit of words. He told me what Trump did, that more white people got jobs in this country versus anybody else. And I said, well, you're not at his rallies. We have blacks for Trump there, Hispanics, Latinos for Trump at these rallies, because Trump unites people, the average person, the hard-working person in this country. And let's talk about the wars. And I even brought it up at a public hearing in Nashua. What happened in this country? Trump is trying to prevent wars. No, we protect everybody else's borders. We don't protect America's borders. Trump wants to protect our borders. No, they don't want him to, because you're right. They want people to come in. They lower the wages on the middle-class people. They put us all into poverty. So what? Klaus Schwab, who says you'll own nothing and like it? I don't think so, Mr. Schwab. I worked hard for everything I've got, and I support Trump 110% now, 1,000%, because he's got the back. And remember, he's in their way. The only reason why they hate him so much, because he's standing in the way of us. They can't get to us with him there. These are the same people who loved him for his donations. Now they hate this man. The hatred in this country. I'm tired of listening to these people calling up with the Trump derangement syndrome here. Biden should be in jail. His whole family should be in jail. This just shows us the corrupt system out there, that it can happen to all of us. Remember, Trump is standing in the way. He's showing everybody how they can indict us all for nothing. And that's exactly what they're doing to this man. And I give him credit. I stand behind him. I'm going to be at that Lilac luncheon today with the Women's Federation, and I'm going to stand proudly there.
No, you're right. He will win again. 617-266-6868 is the number. John in Newton. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Great show as usual. Set my alarm at 6 o'clock. And the fact that you used the word poppycock earlier just made it even better. I'm beside myself because I don't think people realize the shiny object is up here, and that's what they want. My brother used to say to me, it's not the politicians that work for, the media works for politicians, the politicians work for the media. You know, they want us to be distracted, and that's what they do. Like, in this military complex nonsense, it's like, why? Like I said, I live in Newton. I don't know, there's triple murder here. Is anyone talking about it? Nope. Because it doesn't fit their narrative. It's in the Joe Biden's. He's there for a reason. We all know that, right? You know that. And how does his wife just let that happen? I'm so sad, Jeff. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I went to detox and I did all that, and I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do in this country, and it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right. And
well, John, look, let me just, because there are two separate things here. There's the politics, and then there's what's personal with you. However crooked or corrupt or criminal these politicians are, that is irrelevant to how you lead your life. And you do the right thing because it's the right thing. So, you're a recovering alcoholic, you're staying clean and sober. That benefits you. That makes you lead a much better life. It helps your family. It helps your friends. It helps everybody. So, to me, I play by the rules, and I never look at myself as a sucker. I don't. I play by the rules because it's the right thing to do. And I carry my head high because I'm not a crook. I'm not a traitor. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a leech. I'm not a parasite. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm not Hunter Biden. I didn't steal money. I didn't sell my country down the river. I haven't broken law after law after law. I get up every day. I work hard. I pay my taxes. I love my family, and I love my country. And John, to me, you sound exactly like that kind of man. We all fall. We all stumble. We all make mistakes. But to me, I don't judge a man by how they fall. I judge a man by how they stand up. And so all I'm just saying is you are doing the right thing. And forget Joe Biden and forget Hunter Biden, because people like that have been around since time immemorial. And that's what they are. The Bible warns us about people like him. Now, the question is politically, and that's something else now, how you can have someone who we now know on a WhatsApp text message is shaking down a senior Chinese Communist Party official who runs one of the biggest state companies in China for a $5 million payment. It's essentially protection money. In other words, if you want us to continue to do good policy favors for you, to benefit you, your company, your country, the Chinese regime, we want the $5 million, and we don't want to hear any more about it. Don't jerk us around, as Hunter Biden put it. My father is beside me, and we are going to make life hell for you and your company if we don't see that bank transfer. Well, son of a bee, as Biden would put it, 10 days later, from that very same individual, that very same company, $5.1 million was wired to Hunter Biden's account. Now, there's no getting out of this. It's pay to play. It's bribery. It's corruption. It's treason. It's right there. There's no getting around it now. It's a shakedown. So they don't know what to do. And the moment that whistleblower came out with all of these documents, emails, where it shows all of this, I'm like, he's finished. Biden is finished. Joe Biden is finished. Hunter Biden is finished. The Biden crime family is finished. So all they have now left to do is run these ridiculous tapes of Trump, which is all perfectly legal, by the way, talking about how he stopped Milley with wanting to launch a war in Iran to distract and deflect from what the real crime and scandal is. We have a criminal, a traitor in the White House. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, all of you, you need to listen to this. This is now turning into a Hollywood movie. You know what they say, truth is stranger than fiction. This, do you know what triggered the IRS investigation into Hunter Biden? And then, of course, from there to Joe Biden. Hunter allegedly, listen to this, deducted tens of thousands of dollars in payments that on his taxes that he made to a prostitute and a sex club. I swear to you, this loser said, he joined some exclusive sex club and he was paying for prostitutes, thousands and thousands a pop. And this idiot said, well, it's a business expense. And so the guy was deducting off his taxes payments to a sex club for membership. I think it was like $10,000 a year or whatever. And his call girls, his Russian prostitutes, he was deducting them from his taxes. And that's what launched the investigation. And that's when they go like, where's he getting all this money? And it's all undeclared. And he's not been paying taxes for years and years and years. And then they find out it's money coming from Burisma, from Ukrainian oligarchs, Russian oligarchs, Kazakh oligarchs. And of course, the big one is from communist China. Now, they've got him. In a 2017 WhatsApp text message, Hunter Biden was at the home of Joe Biden. And I'm going to get to this very soon because they can now place Hunter and Joe together. So it's all coming undone. And in that WhatsApp text message, they're shaking down Henry Zhao, who was the key guy that was of the company. He's tied to the Chinese Communist Party that put $1 billion into Hunter Biden's hedge fund. And that's an exchange after Biden gave them the right to dump Chinese goods into the United States, to continue to steal our intellectual property, to have access to American companies' research and development. He gave away the store to the communist Chinese. He sold us down the river. Well, the price was $1 billion. Now they want more. They want more. And so they want, if they go for your specific company, if you want special privileges in the United States, it's going to cost you $5.1 million. And the Chinese are going back and forth, and basically they're saying, we already gave you $1 billion. No. We want an extra, for this little privilege, you're going to have, it's going to cost you $5 million. This is going to cost, it's a $5 million, so it's a $5 million shakedown. Now, here is exactly what Hunter wrote. I know I read it to you yesterday. I want to read it again. July 30th, 2017. This is now what the whistleblower has exposed. Quote, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, which is Henry Zhao, and Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this, other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, those are the two other people that run the company, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Now, Hunter Biden's lawyer yesterday, this is another reason why they got to play their recordings. They have to distract and deflect from this. Hunter Biden's lawyer yesterday admitted Hunter Biden wrote that text message. Now, he's claiming he was in the throes of addiction. The man did crazy things while he was an addict. He's a different man now. This was a different time in Hunter Biden's life, which begs the question, if he was this hopeless addict, as they're now trying to portray him, why was everybody giving him money? Who the hell gives a useless, hopeless addict all of these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars? What does he have to offer? What does he have to sell? I'll tell you what he has to sell. His old man. Influence. That's what he has to sell. Policy. In other words, sell our country down the river so they get rich and line their pockets. What else are they giving him all the money for? It's so obvious. It screams at you. Frankly, you got to be a moron or willfully blind not to see it. Well, hold on now. Kevin McCarthy, now under tremendous pressure. Even the rhino's rhino can't stop the floodgates. It's obvious now. Everyone is calling for Merrick Garland to be impeached because he tried to prevent this information from coming out. He was obstructing justice and obstructing the IRS agents as they tried to do a proper, fair investigation. And now it's going to Joe Biden himself. There's no getting around it. Listen now to listen now to McCarthy saying, no. We've got the documents. We've got whistleblowers under oath. We've got copious notes. And now we've got the WhatsApp text message. Roll cut 3, Mike.
The whole reason you have the WhatsApp message is because the work the House Republicans have been doing, not just in Comer, not just in Jordan, but this was in Ways and Means under Jason Smith. These are IRS long-term workers who've been through it and watched the abuse of power of how Hunter Biden was treated. I mean, they even waited to get the 6-year statute of limitation off where they Burisma money he didn't get charged for, some of the highest prosecution. They want to have a special counsel, and now we're seeing that the DOJ, the Attorney General declined that, even though he's saying something different. So we have requested by July 6th Weiss to come in to answer these questions because the IRS whistleblowers took copious notes during those meetings, come back with the date, the 6 people in it, and he took these notes, but he emailed everybody back. This is what was said during the meeting.
And they all said yes. This is exactly what was said at the meeting. Now, I want to play one more clip. Roll cut 3A. Here are all the lies Biden is now told. Remember, he never knew anything of Hunter's business. He was never involved. No, this was all his brilliant son. Smartest man he ever knew was his son. Roll cut 3A. Mike.
We're continuing to do our information much different than anybody else. I wish none of this would ever happen or go forward with somebody in elected office. Right. But now we found the president has lied to us. He said they never dealt with anything in China. Now the whistleblower says that he was in a meeting with a Chinese company as the vice president. We now know that they got millions of dollars. It came through shell companies. The 1023 that was warned to the FBI, that was never given to the IRS whistleblowers that was investigating Hunter Biden, and it would have put good information.
Now, this is what's going to sink him. Hunter Biden is so freaking stupid that on the day that he sent the WhatsApp text message, he took photos of himself at his father's home, at Joe Biden's home in Delaware, in Wilmington. In fact, there are pictures of the two of them together at the home on the day in Wilmington, Delaware, when he sent off that text message. So not only now can they link the text message to Hunter Biden, not only does Biden say his father was beside him as they're extorting this guy, but they can now literally place Joe Biden in the home, in the room next to Hunter Biden. They've got him. They've got him. Now, this is why they're desperate to try to deflect and distract by making think today's big story is about, look, don't look at the right hand, look at the left hand, look at the left hand. It's Trump and the tapes in Bedminster. No, it's the WhatsApp text message. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, if you want to know why the media industrial complex, the fake news propaganda media, why are they fixated now on these recordings, illegally leaked, by the way, regarding Trump's conversations in 2021 in Bedminster at his club in New Jersey that Jack Smith believes are crimes? and that he can put Trump behind bars on? Here is the reason why. I want you to listen now. This is Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York. They not only have the text message of Hunter Biden, they've got Biden in the same room with Hunter when the text message was being made. In other words, they've got him dead to rights. Roll cut 5, Mike.
All we need to prove is that Joe Biden was in the room, and he's part of this. And we have other evidence showing that Joe Biden was in the room from various witnesses who were involved in the Biden schemes. Joe was there to show that Hunter had the connections. But again, I think a lot of that is distraction. I think that Joe Biden used Hunter Biden, a flawed person with a lot of problems. He used him in order to get this, an easy shield that he could use his own son, which is horrible in many ways, a tragic situation with his drug abuse. But now you see the Democrats saying, oh, this poor son, he's got drug problems. That's why we're going to give him a lesser sentence. Those are not, this is really, again, I can't emphasize enough, it's about Joe Biden.
She's completely right. Now, they've got the photos of Biden together with Hunter on the day. There are witnesses. That idiot brought in business partners with him. They're going to testify that Joe Biden was there in the room when that text message was sent to Henry Zhao. So there's no getting around it. They can't say, oh, this was Hunter on his own. He was BSing. No. The old man was there. The old man knew. They sent them the money 10 days later. This is clear pay-to-pay bribery. This is clear. You want to talk about quid pro quo? As they impeach Trump over? This is $5 million, and you get a sweetheart deal doing business with the United States. We will guarantee you. We will discriminate against American companies, and you can do whatever you want. Send us the $5 million. And 10 days later, bang, that wire transfer was sent, and they pocketed the money. Listen now to Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. They have evidence. The whole family was in Wilmington together. They were all in on it because they're a crime family. Roll cut 5A, Mike.
That WhatsApp message, we found evidence showing that Joe Biden and the whole family were all in Wilmington on the night of the phone call, that WhatsApp message, when it happened. That was July 30th, 2017. Yeah. And yes, Joe Biden was a private citizen, but this is a continuation of the tax evasion, the money laundering, and what was going on to get that money through Hunter to Joe Biden and his family.
There's no question. There's no question. Now, that's what the media doesn't want you to know. 617-266-6868. Jose in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome. Did we lose Jose? Okay, Jose is like blasting the music in his car. Ben in North Andover. Thanks for holding, Ben, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to ask you a question. I want to go back to the timeline. After Trump was subpoenaed for the documents, I want to know, I'll ask you a question. Why didn't his lawyers try to fight that in the courts and say, hey, Presidential Records Act, these are mine. I want to fight you in the court over this. And so I didn't see anything. He never said anything about that. I never heard anything about that in the news. And then you reported that that Trump complied with the subpoena, gave back some of the documents, and kept the rest of the documents under padlock and key. They agreed to lock it into a storage unit. And what really was happening is that they were all over Mar-a-Lago. They were in the ballroom, they were in the bathroom, and they were in his office. So
let's just knock them off one by one. Whether they were in the bathroom or anywhere else, they're his records. So he has the right to keep them. That's number one. Number two, they weren't in court because there were no charges filed. Now, on the Presidential Records Act, that's exactly what his lawyers were claiming. That's exactly what they were claiming. And so is every other president. So again, I could give you the same arguments over and over again. I mean, it's like arguing with a wall. So Bill Clinton kept privileged documents, classified documents, and in fact, he discussed those on secret tapes, and the judge said he was entitled to those tapes and he was entitled to keep all that information under the Presidential Records Act and Article 2 of the Constitution. Now, by the way, the judge in Florida is very sympathetic to that argument. And Trump's legal team is going to make that argument. And if there's any kind of a fair hearing, he's going to win that argument. That's why they're trying this in the court of public opinion. The real story here is, if you really want to get to the truth, is that we're now in the discovery phase. It is illegal to leak any evidence to the public. Any. So how did this get into the hands of CNN? It either came from Jack Smith's office, a crime, or the Department of Justice, a crime. Yet no one's going after them. So I want you, again, I'm trying to appeal to your common sense, to any scintilla of patriotism you may have, because I'm telling you, you're gonna unleash the whirlwind. You really are going to release the whirlwind. You want to put in jail the leading presidential candidate, the rival opponent of the president, by the way, while his son skates free from crimes that you or I would go to jail for years. On documents? Literally? On documents? On what's at worst, what every other president has done, they have fought it out in a civil case. It goes to a civil court. Never before have they politicized this and criminalized it with an FBI raid. So Obama has over 1,000 documents he refused to hand over. They didn't raid him. They didn't raid him. Bill Clinton went to court. They lost. George W. Bush, they leave him alone. So normally this is haggled out in the courts, in the civil courts, not criminal courts. Yet they took the unprecedented step of referring to the FBI under the Presidential Records Act, saying that he must hand them back, which is a complete misreading of the law, but let that go. And they raided his home, and now they want to put him in jail. But not under the Presidential Records Act, under the Espionage Act. Now, you're willing to cross that Rubicon. I'm telling you, this is the stuff of third world banana republics. On this, okay, then I'm telling you, you're going to see presidents, former presidents, leading political opponents, they're going to be indicted on nothing. On nothing. So, okay, take it to court. Let's see what happens. I mean, you guys, you made the rules. Now you're going to have to live with it.
Wrong on the Presidential Records Act. You know how I know you're going to be wrong? No, Trump will not find a lawyer to argue the Presidential Records Act. I will bet you $100. No joke. I will Venmo you $100. Put your money where your mouth is.
Okay, first of all, look, Ben, you don't have $100. So don't bet with money that you don't have. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've said this to you many times. Would it kill you to read a newspaper? Because that's exactly what many of his lawyers are precisely going to argue. And they should argue. And for the third time, I've said it to you now twice, this is going to be the third time. Read the ruling by Judge Amy Jackson Berman. Amy Jackson Berman said, according to Article 2 of the Constitution, according to the Presidential Records Act, Bill Clinton had the right to take classified documents as his own personal papers. So there's precedent, there's the Constitution, there's a ruling, and there's the law. And both the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times have argued his lawyers are going to make that vigorous case in court. So if I was to bet you $100 that you don't have, you would lose that $100. So it's one thing to be ignorant. It's another thing to be both ignorant and arrogant. Now, you've called this show with the same argument. You're like a tape. Over and over and over and over again. Now, I keep rebutting it. If you don't like my answer, wait. We'll find out. We'll go to court. But you're talking to me about Trump and dinky documents while we've now got smoking gun text messages that the guy that you voted for is an effing crook and a traitor and a criminal who is dealing with communist China and using his son as the bagman. And you call up this show and say Trump needs to go to jail? By the way, bribery is explicitly in the impeachment clause in the Constitution. Treason and bribery are two explicit reasons to impeach. I don't see you calling for Biden's impeachment.
Ready?
So you voted for this guy.
Biden.
You voted for this guy. And this is what you foisted upon our country. And in your Trump sick derangement syndrome, you're going on about, by the way, if the Presidential Records Act is not pertinent to this, tell me, how come Jack Smith didn't even mention it in the indictment? If this is such a violation of the Presidential Records Act, which was the basis for the raid, how come Jack Smith didn't use it, didn't reference it once in his indictment? Not once. Not once. 49 pages. Take a look. It's not mentioned once. Why is that?
That is what I'm talking about. He's not being charged under the Presidential Act. He's charged under the Espionage Act.
I understand that. That's my point. But what did they raid him on? What was the basis for the raid?
These records are agency records.
No. Again, look, forget agency records. I've gone into that. The deep state doesn't get to classify. The president does. So you can shill for the deep state all you want. I don't care. I'm asking you a different question. The FBI raid, what was the basis for that?
Jeff Kuhner will not put his money on the line for this.
You don't have $100 to give, number one. Number two, number two. Listen, look, you're a punk. You're a pathetic troll and a punk. You can't answer or debate me, so then he won't put his money on the line. Number one, I don't bet with people who don't have a pot to pee in. Okay? So the last time you called me, you were furloughed for 8 months. So you don't have $100. Okay? That's number one. Number two, on the FBI raid. Come on, big boy. What did they raid him on? What was the act that they invoked to raid his house? Come on, big boy. What was that?
He defied the subpoena. And then they raided him because he didn't give back all the documents.
Under what? Yeah, but exactly. But under violation of what? Under the violation of what act?
Smith was silent all the way up until he charged.
No. Was it under the Espionage Act when they raided his house in Mar-a-Lago?
No, I don't know.
Okay. No. So I'll tell you the legal term for this. It's shoehorning. That's what it's called. It's called shoehorning, which is prosecutorial misconduct. So you try to get somebody, you use one law to raid, to investigate, and then another law to charge. So, by the way, know your history about the Espionage Act. It was literally used to put opponents of the government during World War I in jail. In jail. So, where was the espionage, Ben? Where was the espionage? Tell me. Show me a document that Trump sold or gave to a foreign power. Go.
Jeff, I'm sorry to say, but you're going to be wrong on this, and I'm going to be right. He will go down for this. He will go down for the obstruction of justice when he told his lawyers to tell the government that he gave back everything, and he did not. The obstruction charge, Jeff. What about the obstruction charge?
Obstruction of what? They're his documents.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, did you read the judge, honestly, look, really, Sandy, look, why do we keep having this idiot on? Like, I'm being serious. He's a jerk. He acts like a jerk. He talks like a jerk. He's not interested in the truth or having a serious debate or discussion. He really is. He's a complete clown. So, look, we'll see what happens. If they get him on this, you haven't answered my question. So we're going to put a former president in jail. Let's just say your scenario plays out. We're going to put a former president in jail and the leading political opponent in jail over documents? Are you mad?
Won't go to jail.
The president of Guatemala. Look it up. I know you don't read, but look it up. The president of Guatemala said, if I did this to my opponent on this very charge, you, the State Department, would place sanctions on us for being a dictatorship and a banana republic. That's what you Democrats have been reduced to. And by the way, you still haven't answered my question about Bill Clinton or the Amy Jackson Berman ruling. Because you haven't read it, you don't know it. So, you're an ignoramus, and you just called to troll. So, what else do we have to talk about? If you're not serious about yourself, why should I take you seriously? So, take your $100, which, by the way, you don't have, and go bother somebody else. Like, really, man, your act is getting really, it's tiring. It's not productive. You're not smart. You're not getting anybody. Your gotchas are, frankly, that of a 12-year-old. So, for the last time, Ben, either you can add something constructive to the conversation, or honestly, buddy, blank off. Like, get a life. I got really good callers on the line who can really add to this. So your whole, oh, let's make a bet, let's do this, I don't know what I'm talking about. Really, Ben, grow up. I'm telling you, this is for your own good, man. Grow up. 617-266-6868 is the number. And, you know, notice the argument now. Now the argument is, we'll get him. We'll get him. We'll get him. And then you mention everything about Biden. All the crimes of Biden. It's like you're talking to a wall. Trump, obstruction, Trump, the documents, espionage, Trump. Why didn't he hand them all back? Trump. So, the deep state, they get to decide? What, the assassins, the spies, the faceless bureaucrats? They get to decide? What's classified, what's not? What you have to give back, what's not? And then when you point out, I mean, this has been widely reported. This is irrefutable. Obama has over 1,000 freaking documents he hasn't given back. Biden has 1,850 boxes. Nothing. He didn't hand them back. They're not yours to get. And it's like, well, I'll bet you $100, which I don't have. I'll bet you 1,000. I'll bet you 1,000,000. You can bet me $1 billion. You're still a loser. So, I don't want to listen to your liberal dreck anymore. I can get this on MSNBC. So we'll see. We'll have a trial. We'll see what the lawyers say. I'll bet you this. I'll bet you that. No, just get a job. Get a job, pay taxes, and do something productive with your life. I mean, really, the guy's he's a tedious jerk. 617-266-6868 is the number. Like, really, and I get these liberals all the time. Emailing me, texting me. It never ends. Seriously, I'm with Dan Bongino on this. A bigger bunch of effing losers you will never meet. It's just like, you pathetic people. Like, okay, if I'm so wrong, turn the dial. The hate, the constant insults, the threatening me, my wife, my kids, my family, just going on. Obsessive, compulsive, many of them neurotic, mentally ill. Like, and you tell them, okay, look, we're tired, just don't call. And they keep calling, and they keep calling, and they keep calling, and they keep calling. Like, what a loser. Like, go bother somebody else. Get out of your mother's basement and do something with your life. And it's the same. And that they have all this time to hate. That's what I find. If they would put 1/10 of that energy into improving their lives, hey, you'd actually have a half-decent job. You may even be married. You know? Well, no, Sandy, you put these people on the air, and I ask you, I don't know how many times not to put them on the air. So you put them on the air. Now, don't complain to me that I'm griping about it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. So 1,000 times, we don't need jerks like this on the air. 617-266. I mean, they're just trolls. I mean, I've said it a billion times. What do they add to the conversation? They don't. And we've got great callers. I don't mind having a liberal. But someone who's, I don't know, semi-intelligent, knows what they're talking about, is able to have some kind of a conversation instead of these tedious jerks over and over and, oh, I'll bet you this, I'll bet you that. You don't know what you're talking about. Blank off. 617-266-6868. Now, mark my words. He's going to call again, and she's going to put him back on. So I'll just put him in his place again. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, honestly, there's a new Kuhner rule now. I don't care. If you got an IQ in single digits or negative IQ, don't call. Really. And if you do call, I'm just hanging up. Like, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of these tedious, stupid jerks, these liberal morons who call the show with like a tape with the same arguments over and over and over again. It's like talking to a wall. And you give them rebuttal after rebuttal, and they just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. Like, holy mackerel, buddy, get a life. Like, where were you when God was handing out brains? 617-266-6868. Okay, Donald in Arlington. Thanks for holding, Donald, and welcome.
Jeff, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it, first and foremost, I want to say.
My pleasure. Go ahead, Donald.
That buffoon you had on, I like what you said, Kuhner rule, if you have an IQ of less than, and people don't know what they're talking about, so they shouldn't even bother calling your show. They have nothing on Trump. One thing about Trump is the rule. God bless America, he has the rule of law on his side. He knows it. So, like, God willing, he has the strength to fight it to the end. But Biden is done, finished. And I agree with everything you say, first and foremost. Secondly, I'd like to say I agree with everything you say. That woman called earlier, she says all her and the nurses are good. Listen, a lot of people have Biden remorse. I understand that. So be it. It's we, the people, are going to decide in November who the next president of the United States of America is going to be. Not a dictator or wannabe dictator or a dementia-ridden pedophile. Like, you know what I mean? I understand.
No, Donald, look, honestly, I know exactly what you mean. And look, this is what I've just had it. I'll be honest with you. I've just had it. Look, you know, my wife is texting me saying, calm down. It's just entertainment. Don't take these idiots seriously. I'm looking at the president of the United States, and the guy is raping our country. There's just no getting around it. He's raping us. And now he's got us on the verge of World War III in Ukraine, and we're finding out he's been taking money from the Ukrainians and through Burisma, and they've got him on a tape where he's admitting to taking $5 million in bribes, along with his degenerate son, $5 million apiece. And the FBI knew about this, and they covered it up. So we have a traitor, a Benedict Arnold, in the White House. And now you have this explosive WhatsApp text message. I mean, honestly, I don't know how much clearer these people can make it. You know, my father is beside me, and you need to give us the money, or we will make life miserable for you. I mean, if this was Trump's son and Trump was beside him, they'd be firing squad. What prison? They'd hang him on the spot. So you've got gross crime after the highest possible crimes you can commit. And these idiots are calling me up. The lawyer said this, and then the lawyer said that, and then, but he said it was under lock and key, but then they found some documents in the basement, then they found other documents near the toilet. Yeah, and what about Joe Biden? 1,850 boxes, how many of them right next to his Corvette, sitting there for years, which, by the way, he had no right to have. Say what you want about Trump. He was the president. He had the power to declassify. So, and, you tell them this, and they just, like you didn't speak to them. Like, literally. It's like, I'm talking to a wall. And they just keep the same garbage over and over and over and over. And we've got phenomenal callers, best audience in the business. Now, look, honestly, you want to make an argument against Trump, go ahead. He's not God. But don't give me the same dreck that you get on MS Left BC over and over, and then when I give you rebuttals, you pretend like you didn't hear them. So forget it. I don't know if he's so stupid he doesn't get it, or if he's a fanatic and he doesn't care. But either way, I'm done. Like, who needs to listen to this? So anyway, Donald, thank you. I really appreciate your call. 617. This is not therapy, man. It's a talk show. 617-266-6868. No, really, I'm sick and tired of these moonbats. I hate Trump. On the couch, to the psychiatrist. I hate him. He kept documents in a bathroom. Oh, it so bothers me. Well, did he sell them to anybody? Did he? Is he like Joe Biden? Is he just selling the country down the river? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's obstruction. Like, holy mackerel, you people are pathetic. Like, seriously, liberalism really is a mental disorder. And look, I'm sorry, man. I'm not a shrink. I didn't sign up. I don't want to be a psychiatrist. I don't want to listen to neurotic, mentally ill people. Enough is enough. 617-266-6868 is the number. So let me ask all of you. Media now is telling us the biggest story in the world are the audio recordings of Trump in Bedminster, or is it that, or is it now what's coming out about Biden? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, CNN started it. It's now an avalanche. Every single media network outlet out there, they're playing the tape over and over and over again. This is, by the way, illegally released by either Jack Smith, the special counsel's office, which is a crime, or from the corrupt Department of Justice. But that doesn't matter. The only one that commits crimes apparently is Trump. So they can release illegal information. Trump can't even discuss the case. Listen now. This is Trump, 2021. This is what Jack Smith wants to get him on. This is their big smoking gun. It's 2021, Bedminster, New Jersey, at the Trump Golf Club. 2 aides are there, a writer, a publisher, for the book, an autobiography by Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff. Meadows is not there, but the ghostwriter is, and the publisher. Now, they're talking about the story that just broke at the time. Milley lied and told Bob Woodward that Trump wanted to launch a massive invasion of Iran, but that the generals held him back. It was literally the exact opposite. They wanted to attack Iran. And Trump is like, I'm the one who told them absolutely no way. He stood up to the deep state. And now they wanted to make him pay. Trump says, I'm going to set the record straight. Roll cut 23, Mike.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the
like
beginning.
when Millie's talking about, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
He's completely right. So again, what's the crime? Who was harmed by this? Again, this is always the rough rule of thumb. Whenever you're going to prosecute someone, you want to put someone in jail, who has been harmed? Who was hurt? So the plan is gone. The military invasion plan, it was a joke. Trump couldn't believe it. They wanted to invade Iran with 20,000 troops. Trump was like, are you guys on drugs? So the invasion plan was a joke. Milley already leaked the fact that there was an invasion plan illegally. He spilled the beans to Bob Woodward. He had no authority to do that. So who was hurt? Who was hurt? Who was harmed by any of this? By the way, and all of that information made it into Mark Meadows' book. So that was also public knowledge. But no. They got him. Jeff, they got him. They got him. Jack Smith's got him now, Jeff. We're going to put him behind bars. Oh, we're going to do it. Roll cut 23A. Mike.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time,
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible? Though?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, look, here I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some goats in, please.
So, I mean, and by the way, they definitely enhanced the sound of the paper shuffling, and they're clearly playing with the audio, to try to make, classified documents. These are stacks and stacks and piles of it. Like, this is like sickening, man. This is like living in a communist regime. It really is. Boy, when you guys target an opponent, you guys don't mess around. So, again, who was harmed? Who was harmed? By the way, he's joking around. It's obvious about, this is classified. Oh, this is serious. I shouldn't be showing you this. He's clearly joking around. Now, let's see. It's going to go to court. By the way, the whole case should be dismissed. Releasing discovery, and this is discovery, releasing it to the public is illegal. If I were Trump's lawyers, I know I've said it already, but I want to say it again. This case should be dismissed right now, on the spot. And whoever leaked it should go to jail, because it's illegal. It's a crime. But instead, it's Operation Smear, Taint, and Libel Trump. They want to damage him in the court of public opinion, to taint and spoil the jury pool. And when they lose the case, it's like Russia collusion. It doesn't matter that the truth got out. Most people still think Trump colluded with Putin. So, smear him. and then let the propaganda do its magic. Oh, but confidential, classified information, secrets, he gave away secrets. They're getting him because they fear him. And they fear him because he's a threat to the regime and its power. 617-266-6868. Wayne in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Wayne, and welcome.
First time caller, long time listener, Jeff.
Welcome, Wayne.
Staunch conservative. I am extremely upset that our country has taken that final turn for the worse. The Democrats are using the Communist Manifesto playbook to a T. They have the media. They've divided us by race, by wealth. They're going after our children, like the old saying says, get them young, you have them forever. We have a country of sheep, people who just follow the propaganda, and I don't think anything is going to happen to Joe Biden. Hunter's going to skip just like the Clintons did, and they hit Trump with 37 charges. They're hoping one sticks is what they're trying to do. They're hoping that one sticks. And this is an unfortunate day for this country. And the sad part about it is the majority of this country are following like sheep to the slaughterhouse. It is disturbing.
Wayne, I got to tell you, look, I agree with you on almost every point. I just don't know about the majority of the country. My reading of the polls, my reading of the mood, I think this is only going to make Trump stronger. He's now unbeatable. If you look at the polls, he crushes Biden. He's crushing everybody in the Republican primary. What happens is when you start jailing political opponents, whether you want to or not, you turn them into martyrs and into heroes. And inadvertently, they didn't plan it, obviously, but they've now turned Trump into a martyr. And the more they try to now crucify him and persecute him, the more of a martyr he seems. And when you compare him and how desperate they are to get him on this petty garbage, and you juxtapose it side by side with everything now that's coming out about Hunter and Joe Biden, I mean, Wayne, it's sickening. The country can see it, and they've had it. My prediction, unless they put him behind bars on some trumped-up charge, Trump will be the next president of the United States. Biden will not survive. He cannot survive all of this. His regime is going down. And all of the crazy moonbats, like Ben in North Andover and others who voted for Biden, should be ashamed of themselves. Because it will take us, if we're lucky, one generation to undo all the damage that they've done. Thank you for that call, Wayne. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is the mother of all texts. You can text us 70470. This is from 917. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Jeff, help me with this. The DOJ is prosecuting Trump for sharing information with a reporter/writer. In other words, the clips that I've just been playing. When the DOJ itself just shared the same information with CNN. I know, you can't make it up. That's what's incredible about all of this. So the violation of the Espionage Act is what you've been hearing now, these clips. Then like, oh, we talked about the plan to invade Iran, to attack the military, want to bomb and attack Iran. How dare he do that? To a writer, to a reporter? Oh my God, no, they had no right to see this. And then the Department of Justice or the special counsel, same thing, now just leaked that very information to CNN, to a reporter. So Trump goes to jail, in theory, but the DOJ, CNN, that's all okay? For literally apparently the same violation? Liberalism is a mental disorder. Welcome to Biden's America. 617-266-6868. Steve in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeffrey. How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So let me just start out by saying that the people who say we don't treat former presidents differently, how many people does the Presidential Records Act currently apply to? 5. Of the 350 million people in this country, it applies to 5 individuals that are alive right now. That's it. Do we have any other law in any jurisdiction of the hundreds of thousands of federal laws? Do any of them apply to 5 individuals alone? The answer, Jeffrey, is no.
Is
there anyone else in the country? Is there anyone else in the country who gets lifetime Secret Service protection besides the president? No. Maybe the vice president. I can't remember whether they get it or they can decline or they pay for it. But anyways, so we do treat them differently. So this nonsense that we treat them the same as every other citizen is foolish. The Amy Berman Jackson decision, which is probably why they brought the charges in Florida so that they didn't have that controlling precedent, says that the removal, retention, and possession of records by the president when he leaves office remain his records, and he can choose to do with them what he wants. It doesn't get any simpler than that. The problem for the Supreme Court when this case reaches it is there's nothing in Article 2 that they could possibly interpret that would allow the executive branch to restrict the powers of the president. That's what this gets into, a separation of powers issue, basically, which is what Berman Jackson said. I can't interpret the Presidential Records Act to restrict the constitutional authority of the president. And I don't know how, when the Supreme Court reads Article 2, placing him as the plenary power in the executive branch, he does what he wants with records that are created during his administration or that are provided to him, created during his administration, which means if they bring him battle plans and he takes them, they're his to do what he wants. Now, let me just explain one story. He can do what he wants with them. He can disclose them publicly. He can keep them. He can talk to other people about them. The reason he writes a letter like the one he wrote for Crossfire Hurricane was so that Kash Patel and others can use that letter to then share that information. So it's a subtle difference. There's a subtle difference there. But he can do what he wants. So if he showed those documents to a reporter, as long as the reporter didn't go off and start blabbing and say, oh, I saw this plan and this was the thing we were going to do here and that, the fact that the plan exists, that they reported in the book, is not a national secret. If they went into details about what they were told, that'd be them in trouble, not the president. The president could do whatever he wants with them. So this whole case is bogus. And this idea, by the way, they've just put this entire case in Judge Cannon's hands because she's going to make an evidentiary ruling on this tape. And if she believes that it's so prejudicial pre-trial, she can exclude it. She can do pre-trial motions about it. She can limit its effectiveness and presentation to the jury. She can do anything she wants with this tape now. And she's really not happy with the Jay Bratz of the world who's, recently on the case. So, it puts the entire case in her hands with this damning audio tape. I mean, if she feels like it's so prejudicial to the case and to the jury, she'll just exclude it outright. And her decisions on evidence under the 11th Circuit rules and most federal circuits are hardly ever reviewed and overturned by appellate courts. They don't get involved in evidentiary rulings. So,
Steve, obviously, as usual, brilliant points. You always have a very good legal mind. This is what I find, honestly, at this point now, exhausting, tedious, and really now just frustrating. It's like talking to a wall. When you mention all of this to liberals, the Judge Amy Jackson Berman ruling, the precedent, Article 2, Presidential Records Act, they act like you haven't said anything. They just completely ignore it. So my question to you is, are the Bens in North Andover, seriously, are they just that stupid that they don't understand it? Or are they just so zealous in their determination to get Trump, they don't want to hear it?
Obtuse because they're zealots and they don't care about how you get somebody. They don't care about the process and the fact that it can be used in the future against them or somebody that they care about or somebody that they support. They only care about the result today. It's just a foolish mentality. I don't even want to call it liberal because it's not liberal. Liberals are classic liberals like Dershowitz. He would never support this. It's progressive, it's leftist, it's cultural Marxist, whatever you want to call it. They don't care. They want the result they want. They're very spoiled children. They don't care how they get there, but they will rue the day when that precedent is used against them.
Brilliant. Steve, perfect way to end the show. Perfect bow on this entire show and on this entire topic. Thank you so much for that call. You see what I mean? Best audience in the business. Bye-bye.